Okay. Hello everyone. Can you hear me, online students? I just shared the screen also. So from the last two sessions, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will continue. Okay. In the previous sessions, we discussed about the complete advanced Java topics and what topics we will cover, and what is the use of learning advanced Java we have seen. Now we will discuss about the first topic, JDBC. Okay, we'll discuss start the JDBC concept. Now, before starting that, I would like to know that everyone, online students, are you completely aware of SQL? Everyone? So those who are attending online, so have you already completed SQL, or at least you have a knowledge on SQL? Or you can tell yes or no, because at least a little information of SQL is required to understand. So that's the reason I'm asking. If there is anyone without SQL knowledge, please let me know so that I can just give brush up and then go to the JDBC. Okay, all of you are aware of SQL. I think all are SQL batch, but few new students joined yesterday and day before, so I'm just asking. Still they're joining. Okay, fine. So we saw Java database connectivity. JDBC, Java database connectivity is used. Why this is used? To connect to the database. To connect to any database. Okay, so using this JDBC, we'll connect to the database and store the data, retrieve data, and all. We'll establish the connection from our Java application to the database. Through what we have JDBC API. What we will have? JDBC API. Through this JDBC API, we are connecting to the database. So what does this API is containing? All the classes and interfaces required for connection to the database. So how it is connecting? Through java.sql package. What package is required? Java.sql. So if you are importing java.sql package in your program, then you can work with JDBC. But the java.sql package, if it has to be worked, then you have to install a jar file. What is that? OJDBC jar file. Okay, you have to install this jar file into you. Download it. Okay, we have to copy in the folder where we are saving our programs. That we will see during program. But if you want to work with this jar file has to be configured, downloaded and configured in your laptop. Okay, then only if you are writing create table name in your Java program, that is understandable. Okay, what this JDBC API will do? This JDBC API is dependent on the database. Okay, so this JDBC will be like, okay, if it is Oracle database, it will make it understandable by the Oracle. So depending upon the database you are using, you will configure it. Okay, so it will, if you are using MySQL, you can connect to the MySQL database. So like this you will be connecting with this. Okay, so how you will connect? You will write your Java application, and through JDBC API, which will act as your interface of connecting to the database. So here you will have your database can be Oracle or MySQL or anything. Okay, so now from day one we are selling, we are connecting. How we are able to connect to the database? Through API. What is required? So there are some terms called here: driver manager, okay, and drivers. Okay, driver manager and drivers. So first step of it is what? Connection. So we will have some steps here. First one is what? Connect. This connect is involving and we'll do with loading the driver, and or we can say register the driver and establish the connection. This is the first step of our connection to the database. But when we are connecting to the database, we are using one driver. Okay, we need a driver to connect to the database. Okay, so what is this driver? How it is helpful? How many types of drivers are there? See, there are thousands and thousands of drivers available in the market. Every company will use their own driver, but based upon the functionalities, how it is written, the drivers are categorized into four types. How many types? Four types. So we need a driver to connect to the database. So the drivers are, so many drivers are there. Okay, but based upon the functionality, they are categorized into four types. Okay, four types. Now see, what is the use of this driver manager? Okay, this driver manager will check the driver. Okay, this is Oracle database, so I will use a particular driver. Okay, this is a MySQL database, so I will use one particular driver. So this driver manager will choose the driver, select the driver for the database, and whatever the driver we are giving, this driver manager will help us to connect to the database. This driver manager is a predefined class present in the SQL package. Okay, that is predefined. Okay, so with the help of driver manager, the driver manager will take the driver and connect to the database. So now how many drivers are there? There are many drivers, but based upon how they are working, how they are written, they are categorized into four types. So first one, type 1 driver. Type 1 driver. See, this type 1 driver is our native driver, something like which includes more of native code. Native code means what? Which is using non Java code also. So we know before Java we have C and C++ languages also. Without knowing also you can learn Java, no problem. But if your driver is using native code, means not completely Java, it requires some native code, so much of native code, then that comes under the category of type 1. So and also it works on the local machine on your system. You cannot connect to the server and all. It works on your local machine with something like, we have one database already in our system. What is that? Not Oracle. By default, when you install Windows operating system, we get one database. What is that? Access. You have Word, PowerPoint, Excel, like this you have, right? And you will also have what? Access database, which can store data. This access database can be connected with the local driver. So it is already installed in our computer in the administrative tools. So such drivers are coming under type 1 driver. For example, this is developed by Sun Microsystem. For example, I'll tell you one driver, sun.jdbc.odbc bridge driver. What is that? sun.jdbc.odbc bridge driver. This is type 1 driver, so which is developed by Sun Microsystems, and it includes Java database and ODBC object database, which is not Java also, native code. So this is already installed on your computer, but now in the latest versions of Java, this driver, type 1 driver, this native code drivers are not working properly. So most of them is not using. If you are using lower versions of Java, yes, you can find out that. But now in the latest versions of Windows or of Java 17, this type 1 driver of sun.jdbc odbc is not working properly. But I'm just telling you, I will see one example also how to write and all. But this is not much supported because it is having completely native code. So that is the main reason we are not moving into the type 1 driver. Okay, now we will see about the type 1 driver once again. So yesterday we have seen about the architecture, like as I explained now, we write the Java program with the help of API, we connect to the database. Now, so this is architecture and query of the database. We'll write the application through the API, the driver manager, what it will do based upon the DBMS, means Oracle or MySQL. With the help of driver, it will connect. So these are the steps to connect to the database. First is what? Connect. Now we are seeing in the connect statement only. So the connect is what doing? It is loading and registering driver and establishing connection. Means we are applying a link, like we are connecting a wire from here to there. Just we are connecting the link from our application to the database. That is done by the step 1. So how we are doing? What is the driver? What is driver manager? How many types of drivers are there? What is the syntax to connect? We will see. Okay. So first is what? In the connect, we will have to register and connect to the database. This is the step 1. So for that we are seeing driver and connecting. So what this driver will do, will act as a interpreter that translates the JDBC calls into specific vendor calls. Means this driver will act as our interpreter. Okay, you are using Oracle database, so it will convert into Oracle understandable. If it is MySQL, it will convert into MySQL understandable code, like that. So we require java.sql package for executing. So now this is type 1 driver. What is type 1 driver? JDBC, ODBC, bridge driver. It will connect to the database. So this driver manager is using what type of driver? JDBC, ODBC, bridge driver. So we will have the application, the driver manager will choose the driver and it will connect. Since we are not much using, because it is a combination of native code. Whenever you are using native code, what will happen? It will not work purely Java. If it is not purely Java driver, it is not independent on the operating system, correct? And when it is not completely secured also, if it is not purely Java, it will not work as efficient as a Java. So that is the reason we will not use type 1 driver much, but in some cases or very small applications and local machines we can use it. If there is not much risk is there, then we can use type 1 driver also. Okay, we need to install some non Java software on the machine. That is the reason we will not much support. Okay, so we need ODBC installed on the computer. To work with type 1 driver, we need ODBC driver also. Along with JDBC, we need ODBC driver also. Previous versions of Java, you or any operating system, you will get ODBC directly. But now, in some operating systems, you will not find. You have to download and install it. So where it will be generally means in control panel, you will have administrative tools, right? In the administrative tools you will find this ODBC driver, but now here also it is not there, but you will find in that. So in the environmental variables or administrative tools you will find the data source ODBC driver. There you will provide the DSN name, like means the URL name, username and password for the database, and you can connect to the database. So that is type 1 driver. Since it is not purely Java and you have to install ODBC also, we will not much encourage the type 1 driver. And next, type 2 driver. Type 2 driver is called native JDBC driver. So this driver also is not purely Java driver. This driver is also not purely Java driver. Here also you will have some native calls with some interface. Like how we are using their ODBC driver, here also we have to use some Oracle call interface for connecting to the database. Means these are not completely Java, maybe some other languages like C or C++, from that we will get the driver. So because of that reason, on the client machine it is partly Java driver, and you have to use some library of the previous versions. Means you have to use the APIs of C or C++ also. And again, when you are using native code, it is not completely secured and it is not pure Java driver. Okay, that is the reason type 2 driver is also not much appreciated to use. Okay, so there is a risk when you are using this, but you can use all the drivers, but every driver will have some advantage and disadvantage and all. So when we have to use this also will convert into the native calls, but like for as JDBC ODBC, whenever you have to install the native libraries also here, then you can work on it like with previous versions. Now the disadvantage is what? This you cannot use this driver with non-verified. Means there is not much security, right? When you are using only purely Java, you will have the security with the protocols and everything, with the data hiding. If it is not purely Java driver, there is no much security. So then we will have type 3 and type 4 drivers. Okay, so which are almost purely Java drivers. So generally we use type 4 driver or type 3. In the type 3 we need one middleware server which connected to the database server. That is the only disadvantage we have. We need again one more help for connecting from our application to the database. That is the reason we learn with type 4 driver mostly. That is completely purely Java driver. Okay, we will see the driver name and all. Whatever the database you are installing, that username and password we will use, and we will connect to the database. So for every driver we have some advantages and disadvantages. Type 3 is also pure Java and type 4 also we will have, but type 3 is using some middleware server. Because of that reason we use type 4. Otherwise we can use type 3 driver also. Okay, these are the four categories of drivers available. Okay, so all of you understood what is JDBC and how we are connecting to the database through the drivers. Just information like type of drivers. We will see type 1 driver and type 4 driver also with examples, so that you will understand how we are using. In programming, it is easy. Just for the concept, you have to understand it. What is driver? We will write in the program directly. If we go through program, what is driver manager? What is driver? You have to know, right? So I'm just giving you information. Okay. So any doubts, please ask me. So we will use type 1 driver, or second we will use type 2 driver. Okay, which will use some OCI calls. in the type 2, and in the type 3 driver, this is also like pure Java driver only, type 3 driver, but here you will have some middleware server. And in the type 4 driver, this is also completely like purely Java driver. We can use any one of it based upon the requirement. But for the type 1 driver, if you want, you have to install ODBC call also on the machine. Then only it will work. So for the type 1 driver, if you want to see how you have to go to the control panel, and then in the control panel you have to go to administrative tools, and there you will see ODBC. There you will find some system DSN. Okay, where you can provide the DSN name. Okay, what is this DSN name and how to provide, we will see. So this, what is the first step for connecting? Connect. The connect will do what? Load and register driver for the establishing connection. Okay, so how we will connect? In the java.sql package, we are having some predefined classes. Okay, so what is that classes we have is connection. What is that? Connection class is there. So how to register? Suppose you are using, for example, type 1 driver. So how to load and register the driver? The statement is this: class dot for name. What is that? Class dot for name, and you will provide the driver name here. What is the driver name? Sun dot jdbc dot odbc bridge driver. Okay, you will provide the driver name here. Sun dot jdbc odbc bridge driver. Okay, we will load the driver. Then how to register and establish the connection to the database? Here we will see connection class con is equal to driver. With what we will connect? With the driver manager dot get connection. Okay, you will provide this connection con is equal to, first after registering the driver you have to first loading the driver, and you have to register and establish the connection to the driver. For that, what we are using, connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. So this is how we are registering. These are predefined words, class dot for name. So here you are providing the URL, username, and password. What you are providing? URL, username, and password. So what is this URL? Uniform resource locator. If you are using type 1 driver, you have to provide the DSN name there according to the driver. And username is what is the database username? We are connecting in the SQL, right? What system? And what is the password? While you are registering ABC or whatever you are installing during the installation. So you will provide the location, username, and password. So this is how we are establishing the connection. These are the two steps for loading and registering the driver. So that is for the first step, connect. And what is the next step we have for establishing the connection? So first we are registering and connecting to the database. Next step is what? Query. So we have to write the query. Okay, for writing the query we have different steps. Okay, for writing the query we have to create statement. What we have to do, we have to create the statement. The statement can be created in multiple ways. Okay, so you have one create just statement, and you have one more prepared statement and callable statement. Okay, for creating we have three things. One is statement, second one is prepared statement, and third one is callable statement. So for the statement you can give the queries like creating and selecting data and all. For the prepared statement we have to use for insert queries, something like inserting data into the queries, like something like pre-compiled queries. Pre-compiled queries means what? When you are inserting, suppose you are deleting or executing, what will happen? It will delete in the database or update in the database. When you are inserting, you can insert more than one row or two rows, anything like that. So such things you can provide in the prepared. And what about callable statement? Callable statement is for in PLSQL we have seen procedures and functions, right? Okay, from our Java application, if you want to call procedure and function, then you have to use callable statement. So for different types of queries we have different statements. Okay, first we have to create the statement using statement interface or prepared statement or callable statement. Then we will execute the query. What we will do, we will execute the query. So how we will execute the query? Through, again we have here execute method and execute query. Based upon the query we will use, and execute update. Okay, so based upon this we will use the statements. So means we will provide here for all execute, execute query, and execute update. So we will do. So these are the steps we will follow for connecting to the database. We will finally process the result and then close the connection. Whatever the connection we open, we will close the connection. Suppose the connection object is con, we will use con dot close. Okay, con dot close. So here how we will write means, first you will write class dot for name, and you will register the driver, whatever driver it is, and then you will write connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection, where you will provide the URL, username, and password. Okay, this is the connection object. Any name you can take here. And after establishing the connection, we will create the statement. So, how we will create statement st, any name you give, is equal to con dot. Everything should have a link, right? Step by step, you have to have a link. Con dot create statement. In the place of create statement, you will use prepared statement or callable statement. Based upon the queries, we will see. And you will create the statement. And then we have one more class here called result set. What is that? Result set. Result set is used for executing the queries. Executing queries, we have seen, right? Connect, writing the statement, execute the query, that means process the result, and finally close. So how we are executing the query? Result set rs is equal to the statement object st dot execute query, or whatever it is. Based upon that we will write query. And finally, after that, if you want, if you are doing select statement, what will happen? You will fetch the number of rows, right? Here we will use the while or some loop, and we will print the data. And finally, after that, we will close the connection. These are the steps for establishing connection and connecting to our database. So before executing this program, first we have to install database in our computer, and we should know the username, password, and you should also download the jar file. And all these things, if you do properly only, then you can write the program. Okay, so how it is done, I'll show. So we will do with the Eclipse. Same program what I wrote now. So I'll show you once again. So here we will create one class which is having the main method. So how we will create in the Eclipse, like how you are creating the Java program, you can create like that: file, new, and Java project, or project you can select, and you can provide a name, any name to the class, like sample or any project name you can provide, like JDBC. And once the project is created, you can just extract, open the project, expand the project, right click on src, new class. Okay, suppose you're create, now you're writing an example to create a table in the database. And suppose you're writing here one program, and when you run this program, it has to create a table in our database. So let us create like one example, like create table, like this you can give with the main method, and click on finish. Okay, once you are done creating, okay, it is asking for put in a package, that's it. You can create one package. So now here you have to right click on your project or on src, right click on it, go to the build path and add external archives. You have to click on this. Okay, I have already downloaded the jar file. So last two sessions I have shown you how to download the jar file. You have to download the jar file, OJDBC, and click on that and say open. So it will come to your library. Can you see everyone? Online students, is it visible? Can you see? See here, you will get here the jar file. You have to download. Okay, if you download this only, we can import our SQL package and work. Otherwise, it will give you errors. Okay, so we have to import the jar file. Then, how you are writing the program? We'll see now. So, this is our example. So, first, what we have to do? We have to register the driver. Class dot for name. This is the driver name. Okay, oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. If you are using Oracle database, we will use this driver, which is already present with the, when you install the database, you will get this driver. Okay, this is predefined fixed name. You have to write this. And step 2, you have to create the connection object. Connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. So what will be the URL, username and password? ఇక్కడ ఏం what we have to provide here? We have to provide the URL name, URL, username and password. See, this is the URL you will get. This is a thin driver. What type of driver this is? Thin driver. So JDBC colon oracle thin @ localhost 152. So when you install, you can get these drivers names and all. So these are all predefined you will get. So generally in some it will be 1521 or 1522, whatever it is. You can see in the properties name, but you can use by default this one. And username and password. So if in here, if you are giving wrong password, will it connect to the database? No. Using this statement, it is connecting to the database. This is the first and second step. Loading driver, registering driver and establishing the connection. So for that, you are providing the driver name. This is like loading and registering, and this is establishing the connection. This is the URL name, username and password. Okay, so this is all like predefined available with the drivers. Now once you are establishing the connection, what we have to do? We have to create the statement. So statement stmt, already I have created the variable here, statement stmt. So whatever name you have taken, you can give here, con dot create statement. Now statement dot execute, I said right. We will use result set only when we are fetching data, because result set has a methods to hold the data, like how we have in like boolean method in the collection has next method and next is there, right? In the same way, the result set has next method to check whether next row is there or not. But for creating table, nothing will get as output, right? It will create in the database. So now it will create in table in the database with the name. Whatever name you give, it will create. Okay, suppose you are giving the name as like Likita, the table name, it will create. Okay, this is the user ID, password. This is the query which we learnt in SQL till now, correct? Is it correct? Create table, table name, that query we are putting under execute update. Okay, నేను ఇక్కడ రాసాను కదా already, same like that we were writing in the example. Okay, and then so if it is fine, then it will say user table created. If there is any error, it will say table already existed, or any other exception occurs also, it will display. Means there may be URL mistake might be there, username mistake might be there, password mistake might be there. So anything mistake you write also, it will give you an error. So these are the steps you have to follow while connecting to the database. So what same example I shown here. First you have to register driver, establish the connection, create the statement. In this you are writing the table. Create table. Table name is, suppose let us say sample or something, and then and you will provide here the id space number. So what exactly what query you are writing till now, and then name of type character, like this you will write. Since you are updating, creating a new thing, you can use here execute update. Okay, if you are not sure to use query or update, you can use simply execute also. No problem. Either you can use execute, execute query, or execute update. Anything you will use and you will connect. Okay, these are the steps that you have to follow for connecting from our application to database. So these are the things we learned now. The driver manager, what are the drivers, types of the drivers, and how to connect to the database through registering the driver. Okay, these are the steps you have to follow. So everyone, is it clear? So I'll execute and show you also, but first you have to understand the concept. So I was explaining. Next we will see programs we will execute: create, insert, select, update, delete. All we will see in the JDBC. All concepts we will see. Okay, so online students, did you understand? So in next class again we will type and see. As of now I'll show how this is working, driver registering. So I'll show, open the SQL command line. So there is already table DSC. Okay, we will create one new table. Bank user, let us create one table. Okay, let us check whether it is already present or not. Maybe I have done already. Bank user, so it's already there. So let us drop the table. Drop table, table name bank user, table dropped. So now let us, okay, see, does not exist. Okay, now I will run this example. What we are getting, user table created. Now let us go to our SQL and then check. Created. So now we did not write any query in SQL or any block in PLSQL. We wrote the program in the Java. It is connecting to the database and it is working. So everything is working fine because of the proper driver name, URL name, username, and password. Okay, tomorrow once again I'll write all the code for you and we will do again, because once you cannot understand because completely new topic, right? And I will show you how to see this driver in the properties of JDBC. In system, if you are seeing, you will see this type of driver and this. How to change it and what type of driver you are using, you can know. So we will know the properties of the driver. This we know. We are logging in every day. And this is the driver name. These are all fixed names. We have to remember driver name and the URL. If you are using type 1 driver, that is different, because type 1 driver it is not supporting. I'm not telling, but one example we will see on that also. With type 1 driver also we'll see. So we are creating the statement. Understood? అర్థమైందా అండి? Is it clear everyone? So what is JDBC, why we are using JDBC and all. Once if you see the output only, you will get clarity. So once I have shown you, tomorrow we'll write step by step again once, and we'll create a table. Now how we are creating bank user, right? Next we will create a table for user in personal info. Throughout JDBC, when we complete, we will create all the tables required for our bank application. We will create one bank application by the end of JSP. So in JDBC, first we will create tables, insert data. We will see how to update and delete. Through the servlet, we will connect to the HTML front pages. And through JSP also, it will be little easier for us. Okay. So we are going to develop. So when you are practicing also, give same name, column names and everything, because we are doing for one project. Now all these finally will come as one real time bank application. So try to create the same tables what I created now. Okay, so now this is for your bank user table. Okay, I will share the notes. Just go through the drivers, types of drivers or notes. You can just go through it and study. If you are getting any doubt, you can ask me. Just advantages and disadvantages will be there. Type 1, why we are using type 2, what are its advantages, because it is using native calls. It is not much secured. Like that, you will have the points. Go through that. If any doubts, you ask me in the next session. Okay. Okay, then we'll continue in tomorrow's session. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. I'll wait for a few minutes and others can leave the session. Not receiving recording, sir. Okay. Okay, since these are the demo sessions, I think you are not able to find, but anyway, I'll check with them and let you know. Okay. I'll send the notes today. I did not send the notes earlier, but today I will send the notes. Okay.